So, the madness of the day continues. We are 14 September and unfortunately are still occupied by the USA in Europe, right? We Europeans follow blindly the USA into a nuclear war that will be fought in, oh yeah, you guessed it, Europe, not in America. Like de Gaulle said, Britain is an island and America is far, far away. Unfortunately, this holds true. And now I am listening here to General Apti Alaudinov. Dear General, I salute you. I wish we had a general like you in Europe, because people like me would like to get rid of this regime in Europe. Unfortunately, people like me are the lone voice in Europe, a lone voice. From day one, I said we should not get involved in the Ukraine. From day one, I said it is a shameful act that we broke our promise. After all, I was a former soldier. And that promise that we made in the 90s, I was present as a former soldier. So yeah, I take that kind of, just based on that fact, personal. You know, when your leadership makes a promise, let's say you need to wave the white flag, and your leadership waves the white flag, the so-called enemy comes over to make peace and you shoot them. Well, that reflects on the troops as well. Doesn't matter if that leadership was the only one not to be trusted. It will reflect on you, the common soldier. I kept saying this, I will keep saying this, because you had the example Second World War. So, as a born German, it's not just being a former soldier that I think it's always your duty to keep an eye out on your own regime and keep them in check. But as a born German, this is a solemn oath. This never again. So yeah, I agree with this general. I absolutely agree with this general that we are insane in following the USA. And the only thing that we can do, actually, dear general, is rely on Russian support about a peaceful transition in Europe, in which we Europeans demand a change. Like the MAIDAN coup, Ukraine, something like that, for Brussels. I think it's very, very fitting. And yes, I'm one of those people that our Dutch government and the EU labels as future danger to the democracy. Why? Because I'm very outspoken against EU Brussels, against the support of Mr. Rutte to Nazis and fascists, against the support of Germany, the traitor Scholz, to my people, Germany. I'm very outspoken against these people, but hey, here it is, in the EU law, not European law, EU law, this entity ruled by Deepstate USA. Here it is, in the Treaty of Lisbon. People like me can be put to death for calling for an uprising or a revolt. Isn't that a kicker, right? In the Ukraine, it was the example of EU values. The example of EU values, of democracy, right? Yet, if I would say, which I did, and which I still say, Rutte, the day will come and you will pay for your crimes, I will make sure of this. People like me will make sure of this, that you, Scholz, Rutte, and all you Europhile elites will pay the price for your betrayal, for your crimes. Then, yeah, they consider me a danger. Why? Logic, right? I was trained as a professional soldier as well, when the rest of that plebs that might not agree with them will be just fucking sheep. This is the sad truth. Just look what's happening right now in Europe, right? Look what happened during the COVID and your obedience. It's shocking. Shocking. So yeah, I can see why the governments call people like me the danger to their democracy. In a moment, I am not a danger to them, right? Unarmed, outnumbered, just an opinion. Just an opinion. Yet they are already afraid of this opinion. How do I know this? Well, I just need to look at my Twitter and how they close several accounts. They are not so fond of people like me giving other people an idea of rising up against the EU Brussels and demanding a change, a constitutional change. Yep. You know what is my proposal for us Europeans, dear General? And I hope the Russians will promote it. That in itself will already lead to a peaceful protest, a peaceful resistance, until we can't be peaceful anymore, right? That always depends on the other, as I keep saying to the governments. But what if we Europeans en masse vote for a constitutional change in Europe, a copy-paste of the original American Constitution, ergo a European Constitution? Those Americans were, after all, Europeans. And what did they write in their constitution? The first two articles. Very important. Very important, because those two articles will guarantee that we won't go in World War III without us, the people, agreeing. An armed population to keep your government, yes, in check. That was the reason why the founding fathers wrote these articles in the Constitution of America, and the freedom of speech and assembly, etc. So yeah, I dare to say we Europeans should just take a copy-paste of the Americas. An armed population, then, you know, this so-called Russophobia fear of Russia ever invading Europe would be solved in one swoop, right? Because those standing militias will be part of the defense force. That's the easiest solution to peace. Like really, the easiest solution to peace. We Europeans demand a constitutional overhaul, a constitution for the people, by the people, just like Iceland did, 2004. They left the EU, no? And they voted for their own constitution. Oh yes, it's a smaller country, yes, less people involved, but yet there they are. And they punished back then those bankers who tried to bankrupt Iceland. Remember those? Well, I do. I paid attention. I paid very close attention to this EU monster. And I observed how we became more and more nothing else than a legion of Rome in America. And that was also the reason that I said goodbye in 2001 to the army. I loved it. It's my life. You know, soul of a warrior. Then you can't do anything else, basically. No. Dear General, freedom will have to come from Russia for us Europeans. Yeah. I said it in many videos before. Freedom will come from Russia. I pray for it. I thank the Russians, as a German, for defeating Hitler in the Second World War. I do. I remember their sacrifices. I do. I know who delivered us from that evil. I do. I remember. And I promised, holy promise to God, that was the reason why I joined the army, that I, as a German, would be ever watchful, that this would never happen again. I said it even in other videos. Yeah? I'm not a vlogger blogger, I'm just a concerned European citizen. But I'm so fucking fed up right now that I am to the point where my Dutch government is thinking I would go. Yeah. To be even to the extent fed up that I think, yeah, give me weapons, give me a few good trained men, and heck yeah, I will go for it. I will go for it. Huh? I don't care who occupies Europe. Really, I don't care. Be it Germany who ruled Europe during World War II, be it a Napoleon who ruled Europe during his reign. It's an occupier. It's an occupier. You have a sovereign country. You are a Dutch, a Spaniard, a Portuguese, a Brit. Take your sovereignty back. You are not Washington, D.C. Period. You're not. America is your enemy. This is true. This has been true forever and ever. And the Americans, that is the sad part, they even have full doctrines for the last 100 years how to avoid that Europe and Russia would be friends. You know, that's like you living in the Netherlands steering shit between me and a neighbor here in friendly, peaceful Transylvania, while you are living far, far away. But making shit in my little village and trying to set up people against each other. I would not allow that. And I would come wherever you are, far, 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 far away. One day I would show up and you would pay the fucking price for all your crimes. That's what a warrior does. Really. And then forgiveness. Like I keep saying, Rutte, Netherlands, forgiveness is between the Lord and you. It's up to people like me to arrange the meeting, as they say so cool in video movies, right? But it's true. If you are a soldier, if you solemnly wanted to defend your country, then you have to defend it also from an internal enemy. Regardless if that would be a Mr. Putin steering shit in your government, you know, that everyone in that government is working just on the behest of the interest of Mr. Putin, or if it is Mr. Trump or Biden or Mrs. Harris. It doesn't matter. They ain't your countrymen. They were not elected by you. Did you? Really? Are you that stupid? No, dear General. Peace can only come if Russia assists people like me, if they assist them in having a voice, you know, spreading the message that there are indeed Europeans who would be willing to march on Brussels and get rid of them. Yeah, I say it openly. I don't care. They can come to my gate. I told them many, many times, bring the police, bring the Secret Service. Huh? They threatened me with geolocating, which they did in 1 week. There was a drone flying in front of the balcony in the city center of Cluj, in front of the balcony of my girlfriend. The Ukraine, NATO, SBU or whatever the fuck. I don't give a shit. You can bring it to my gate. And then, when you bring it to my gate, never forget, it's a God-given right. God-given right, not a privilege. God-given right to defend your life and goods. God-given right. That means if someone attacks you, he can wear the nicest uniform in the world, the most shiny stars on its shoulder. If someone attacks you, it's your enemy. It's your enemy. And you should deal with it accordingly. And I keep saying them, you can get to my gate, you can come and try to punish me already for my opinion. What should be done? Huh? Remember, it's still peaceful. But then you cross the line of being peaceful. Then you bring the war to my gate. Like really to my gate. And when that happens, then yes, gloves come off. Gloves come off right there and then. I don't even expect to survive it. And I don't give a shit. It will set an example to other people like me. Never accept this. Never ever accept this. You rather fight yourself to the death than accepting this. So yes, dear Russia, dear General, dear Europeans, only people like me with support of Russia will set the record straight in Europe. Unfortunately. Unfortunately. Have a nice day. Twitter, X, YouTube, wherever the fuck you are. And get involved. Have a nice day.